We want to continue this conversation here, talk about some of the leadership that we're seeing in today's market. And for that, we want to bring in Ernesto Ramos. He's the Chief Investment Officer of BMO Global Asset Management. And Ernesto, great to speak with you again. Looking at today's move, I'm looking at the S&P right now. United, American Airlines, Alaska Airlines are amongst the leaders in today's market. What's your reading on the leadership that we're seeing? And do you think that some of these names have staying power at the top of the list?
Well, they do. And the reason is very simple. The economy is reopening very quickly, I think more quickly than people had expected a few months ago. It's all a function of getting vaccines in people's arms and the fact that the infection rates, therefore, and for other reasons, have come down significantly. The last 4 days, you saw the TSA report the biggest number of people pre-screened or screened for security going through airports. So people are ready to go, and they are starting to go places. So airlines are doing well. I expect the hospitality business will start to improve significantly quickly. And that's all because people are starting to get out of the lockdown and the restrictions that we were in. And that's very, very healthy for the economy because it's exactly what had kept us contracted was the fact that people were not able to go out and do the normal things that they do. So I think that can go and can keep going until we finish reopening.
Well, Ernesto,
yes.
We've been told by all the experts that the second half of the year is when things go boom, but it feels like boom is already underway. We're not even out of the first quarter yet. When we get into the second quarter, if I haven't gotten into this market, what are the dangers that I might even have to pay more to get into it next quarter?
Well, it's great to see the economy reopening. There are some pockets of uncertainty for investors, meaning elevations are high, and the reason valuations are elevated, and the reason valuations are elevated is because so much money has gone into the stock market. Some of it having to do with people investing some of their stimulus checks in the market and all the speculative bubbles that are out there. So it's not a certainty that if you put money to work in the stock market today, you're gonna do incredibly well. I think the time to do incredibly well was putting money to work last March and April and May, and the easy money has been made. However, earnings growth is going to be incredibly strong for 21 over 20 to the order of 42%. Compared to 18% negative growth, 20 relative to 19. So there is going to be earnings growth. A lot of it is discounted in the current valuation. So you want to put money to work in the sectors that are not as highly valued as others, specifically the more cyclical and value-oriented sectors of the economy relative to the safer, high technology and more expensive parts of the stock market.
Ernesto, we also have the Fed meeting kicking off tomorrow. There's lots of talk about what we'll likely hear from the Fed, concern over the action that we've seen in recent weeks in the bond market. What are you anticipating that we'll hear from the Fed?
I don't expect that we'll hear a big change in message from the Fed tomorrow. The Fed is like the Titanic. They steer very slowly. They signal very slowly. I think they're going to tell us that the economy is doing a little bit better than they had expected. That might be enough to send yields a little bit higher and therefore impact the higher growth stocks because those are the most sensitive to higher yields. It's just going to be those higher yields will be a reflection of stronger growth. There is a concern that if we get too strong growth, we might start to get inflation. And because we have thrown so much money at the economy, inflation is a risk that I think most people are underestimating. And because most people are underestimating it, I think it's got a better chance of coming through than otherwise. So that's one of the things we're keeping our eye on besides the elevated valuations as a potential risk for the market.
Ernesto Ramos, always great to have you, Chief Investment Officer of BMO Global Asset Management.